What's up? It's Way Up with Angela Yee. I'm here for Wealth Wednesday. My girl Stacey Tizzle, of course, is in the building.
Happy Wealth Wednesday, and we are going to make you very wealthy today. We are so excited to have serial entrepreneur Ebony Austin here, and she is so accomplished, and we are so proud of her. And we did get her out of the shops in New York City to come into the studio. And thank you so much for coming.
Thank you for having me. I'm excited.
You know, I know you've been out here having a good time. I want to ask you, what is your balance when it comes to knowing that you have businesses to run, but you also want to treat yourself? Before we even get into the businesses. I want to hear what you have to say about this.
You know what? I try to find a happy medium somewhere in between. I'm always in trouble when there's certain stores. If it's Goyard, Chanel, I'm in trouble immediately.
Okay. You know, I'm buying something.
Right. Every time.
And those prices do not play. They keep on going up.
Yeah, they do.
I had to ease off. I was like, all right, I did my thing. I think I'm going to just sit back with what I have.
Yeah, but when you in New York, you see like 10 Gucci stores, and all of them got different things in there. So like for me, this was good. This was fun.
But let's talk about your background, because I think this is fascinating. You've worked at companies that I've definitely done business with before starting your own.
Yes.
Godiva.
Yeah, so I worked for Godiva for 12 years, and then from there I went to 1-800-Flowers. So I was a business development manager, so I helped build and make stores profit. So I came into some stores that were doing $200,000 and made those stores $2 or $3 million within 1 year. So once I learned how to perfect my craft and building the brand, I kind of just took it and ran with it. So initially it started at one store at a time, and then somewhere in between I ended up doing over 100 and some stores within that time.
That's awesome. You were in corporate America for 12 years.
Yes.
What are some of those strategies? I mean, I know you don't want to give away all your sauce.
What did you learn
in a general
there?
sense, like when you come into a store and it's making $200,000, how do you get it to like scale to the point where it's making, 10 times what it was making?
Absolutely. So the first thing is you have to really sit back and analyze the store. What are we doing? What do we need to do? What can we do different, right? And so what we learned is most of the time it's people. It's people not being in the right places at the right times. So for me, I learned the hard way that we always went off of experience. How many years of experience do you have? How many degrees do you have? But what I learned was finding people with passion made it way much easier for me to train versus somebody who's been in the game 10 years, 15 years, and they're set in their ways.
Yes.
So I usually take people that are passionate about what they're doing, train them on the systems that are in place. And that was one of the key things that worked for me. Because if you can teach somebody what your vision looks like, right, and show them how much you appreciate them, they'll go that much harder for you, your company, your business, because you're now invested in them. So ultimately, they're now invested in you and your
And they don't
company.
have those bad habits already that they may have picked up along the way or feel like they know it all.
Absolutely. When I first started working, there was a lady who had been with the company for almost 20 years.
She's like, I know how to.
You couldn't tell her anything, and everything she did was wrong.
This woman has multi-million-dollar restaurant businesses, real estate, has given back so much to the community. But I want to stay on this point for a second, because when we were talking about what was your secret to all this success, you said team building, and you made that point that when you build it, the key to a successful team is not necessarily somebody's experience.
Absolutely. So for me, my team is everything that I prayed for. I'm really big on prayer, of course. And so for me, my team, not only do I teach them how to own their own business, but in between time, I teach them real estate and how to own their own property. So like a lot of my managers have their own homes. They went from living in apartments now until now they own their own properties, and now they're doing investment properties. So for me, it was building a team that I can pour into just as much as they poured into my company, because ultimately we're not there every day, right? So you need the people that, they're the face of your brand, technically, when you're not there. So for me, my managers run my restaurants without me ever even showing up. Even though I'm there almost every other day, they run it without me having to be there. They can open up a new Nouveau. We're getting ready to open one in Dallas, Texas, and I don't have to be there.
We got to back up because everyone's like, what? Who is this lady? What are her businesses? Tell us about your business, Nouveau, the restaurant, your grits brand. Tell us.
Absolutely. So I started off with my own real estate company, again, one property at a time. And somewhere in between time, we're talking, I can't even count how many properties at this point. I have Dallas, Chicago, Orlando, Atlanta. And then from there, I opened up Nouveau. I took the money that that was from my restaurant, my real estate, and poured it into my restaurant. So I paid up a year of my rent before I even opened the doors of Nouveau. And then from one Nouveau, a year and a half later, it did amazing. Opened up another Nouveau. Between the two, within my first year of having both, I did over 10 million.
Your first year in the restaurant
Yes,
business.
ma'am.
You know how rare that
Full
is?
stop, full stop, full stop. Rare isn't even the word. What, how, what, when?
I'm telling you, it's the team, and it's pouring into your community. I tell people all the time that when I opened up Nouveau, I wanted to be Cheers in my community, but with a twist, right?
That show Cheers.
Yeah, I grew up watching Cheers. So for us, we're that, though. Nouveau is a vibe. When you go into Nouveau, I mean, you might come in and catch karaoke, and it almost looks like Who Got Talent, America's Got Talent. But then we'll have DJs. We have bottomless mimosas. My team do like special things for different occasions, if it's your birthday, if it's your anniversary. So I just wanted people to be able to come somewhere that it felt like home, right? And because of my HBCU love and passion, I created my own grit line, 3 different flavors. And now they're in 150 public stores, 180, I'm sorry, and 55 Food Lion stores. And from that, all of the proceeds go to students that goes to HBCUs. So we're well over $1 million in scholarships.
You've given $1 million in scholarships.
Yes.
That's huge.
Yes.
You know, I want to ask you, what made you even say, now I'm ready to open up a restaurant? Because people are very wary about stepping into that field. And like we just said, that is very rare to do so well in your first year. A lot of times there's a lot of mistakes that get made. I want to ask you why you decided to do it and what were some of the things that you did. I know you listed some of them, but even on the back end, as far as like ordering, as far as knowing how to price things, all of that, like where did you get that guidance from?
Absolutely. So for me, I always want to be around somebody that's experienced in what I'm trying to do. So I had this dope mentor named Gregory Cole. He was actually my consultant. It started off there. And I said, hey, I really love what you do. Let me come in and shadow you for free. Let me just come in, let me shadow you. I want to see what your business do. I want to see what your numbers are. And he said, girl, get out of here. I said, no, for real. Let me just come in and shadow. I work for free. So I went and I worked for free. And I literally went through all of his systems with him. But what I learned was those systems reminded me of Godiva systems, right? So I was able, it was like a breath of fresh air. Like, okay, I've done this before. I've been down this road before. So for me, that was a lot. Like, he was my GPS in it, you know, just having somebody, get you a mentor, get you somebody that really knows the business that you're trying to get into. When I did my grit line, one of my good friends had been in the grocery stores for 15 years. She actually manufactured our grits. So it was doing all of those things that people are already in the fields that I wanted to go in. And that's how it really became extremely successful.
That's why you said you were a great follower before you were a great leader.
Absolutely.
When you and I spoke, you said, I interview my mentors. I love that. Talk about that.
Absolutely. I have to. I need to know that our passion and that we're in alignment with, you know, for me, what God has planned, but also the business aspect of it. Everybody don't do good business, right?
Because sometimes someone will say, oh, I'll mentor you, and we're so excited. We jump on that. But you say, don't.
I interviewed him, and then not only did I interview him, I wanted to see what his day-to-day looked like in a restaurant. I got the opportunity when he wasn't there. I would come in on an opening shift, and I would work with his bar manager, and I would work with his managers just to kind of see what it was without him being present, and the energy never shifted. So who they were when he was there was exactly who they was when he wasn't there, and that showed me great leadership, and I wanted to follow that, you know.
How hard is it to get somebody to agree to be your mentor? Because some people are looking for a great mentor, but it can be a challenge to find that person.
You know what? It was hard at first. You know, he said no 3 or 4 times. He said no. He said, I don't mentor people, girl. I open restaurants. And I was like, no, listen, I'm going to do X, Y, and Z. I want you to be a part of this journey. I promise you don't want to miss it, right? Because I believe I speak everything into my life, into existence. And I believe that everything I touch turns into gold. It becomes successful. And so because I'm able to walk in those rooms and know what I'm talking about and really have the proof that everything that I've touched has become successful through my team, you know, and of course my hard work, he was like, girl, you're crazy, but come on. And, 5 years later, he's still building restaurants for me. He's still my mentor. 5 years.
It worked out.
It worked out. And he still curses me out every now and again.
Because as a mentee, you also have responsibilities.
Absolutely.
Because you're taking up somebody's time, you're asking them to train you, but you also have to do things that benefit them.
Absolutely.
Good
so
point. Yep.
it was a list of things because, they're busy, and so it's like, hey, if I'm doing this, I have to know that you're serious, right? And doing this, I need to know that there's growth that's going to come from this. And again, because he's been my mentor for 5 years, every restaurant that I've opened, he's been a part of it. Even when I started my vegan concept, I now have a partnership with another brand called Cliche. So now I'm pouring back into restaurant owners who might not have had it as easy as I had it going into it. So now I'm investing my money into, other restaurants that are in Georgia.
How important was it? I hear this. You mentored for free.
Yes.
You never borrowed money for this. So you had that financial security blanket.
Yes, I'm really big on discipline. I think that that's always going to be the bridge between your dream and your accomplishments is discipline. And so because I'm big on it, I discipline how I spend my money and what it looks like. So for me, I would work 3 jobs before I worked at Godiva, Swarovski, and at the Hilton Garden Inn all at the same time. One check went to my savings account, one check went into my real estate account, and then one check was just for, my day-to-day, my bills, my car notes. So I'm one of those people that when I know that I got a goal, by any means necessary. And for me, I was able to get my first property, all cash, at an auction for $30,000. Turned around, flipped it, sold it for $300 and some thousand, invested into some more properties, and then we're how many properties down the line now?
So if we just buy a restaurant, would you just run it?
She's got some people for you. So, and I do want to ask you about this because I know you've invested your own money from the real estate into the restaurant business. Did you ever think about getting a loan? Because a lot of times people will tell you, don't use your own money, use other people's money. What made you say, I don't want to do that?
Because I needed to bet on myself wholeheartedly, right? And now that I think about it, it's good to use other people's money, especially in real estate. So now in the real estate world, I'm using the bank's money now.
Right.
But for me, the first part was I don't do anything that I'm not scared to do. And so the restaurant industry actually scared me. I knew that I knew how to cook, and I knew that, I'm very good at serving people and being a service to people. But, when you start talking about inventory, your P&Ls and what this looked like, nobody told me that my first 3 years I would be in my restaurant every single day. I didn't go on vacation till year 5.
Wow.
So it's the discipline that I was,
sacrifice.
So for me, it was like, hey, this my savings on the line. It has to work, so it's not like, I could just tell the bank, this is it and keep it moving. No, this is my savings. So if I don't do this and I don't do this right this time, I don't know if it'll be a next time. So for me, it was making plan A work.
How does that affect other relationships that you have when you're in the restaurant every single day, no vacation? For 5 years.
Listen. Oh, that relationship. Oh, it's rough. It's rough. It's very rough. I was in a relationship for a very long time. And, the beauty of it was he was busy, I was busy, but then you lost the real relationship part of, the dating aspect. So you think about it, you don't go on vacation with your significant other for 5 years. That's tough. So that might be why I'm single now.
You're like, come to the restaurant. You want to go eat? Let's go. Come to the restaurant. You can eat here.
Yeah, that might be why I'm single now.
Then you look at it and you're like, okay, it's great to have a relationship. And then you look at life. You're like, I have made no time in my life whatsoever.
Right.
No, 2025.
It is very tough when, because it feels good to say I'm busy, he's busy. But then it's also tough because I'm busy, he's busy.
Yeah.
And at some point, you kind of want to come home and maybe get a hug, a kiss, or something.
And it's also stressful.
It is.
And you can bring that stress home. And it's like, man, I had a tough day, but so did he. Yeah. And so now, how do we balance,
when do you want to have to do that when
especially
you get home?
those days when you up early prepping and because the chef done called off,
Right.
and that was the beautiful thing is I learned how to be everything in my restaurant. So I learned how to make drinks even though I don't drink. I cook So I did a lot of the recipes at Nouveau. So for me, sometimes I was there 15, 16 hours. All I had time to do was come home, take a shower, and get a couple hours of sleep, and I'm back at it for
and now
years.
He's trying
Sound
to
like
cuddle,
the bear.
and you like, I'm
you know what?
tired.
He ain't never really been romantic, so I never really got the cuddling part.
Well, that cuddle leads to more things, and you're like, I just want to get some
I
sleep,
just want some
sir.
sleep.
Exactly.
So yeah, I think that might be why I'm single now.
So we're talking restaurants, but your products are in Publix. They're on Shopify. How did that happen?
Oh my God. Again, I'm big on manifestation. I manifest everything that I want in my life. When they told me, hey, Ebony, it takes 5 years to have a proven product. No, it don't. Like, hey, we're going to keep going. And we got told no a few times. By so many different grocery stores. And now it's crazy because now they're coming back to us and saying, oh, well, we want the product in. So now it's our chance to decide if we want it or if we don't want it. And, if it doesn't make sense for us, because a lot of times we hear grocery and we think that this is amazing, but people don't realize that profit margin is so little.
Yeah. Listen, I feel your pain because, I have my coffee company, Coffee Uplifts People, and we're in Whole Foods
You should
here.
put that
Why
in
do we have it at
you
Nouveau?
put it in your restaurant.
We'll talk about that.
It's so good. It's so good.
No, we're in Target, and we got on Amazon most recently. But you're right, the margins are so much less in direct to consumer, being able to sell to people because you have to use their, distributor, and then you have to have it at a certain price point so they can make their money,
And then you get the change from their money.
And so it's really more of you have to sell more, and you're in over 180 stores. So that's helpful, but also just making sure it sells too.
Yes, making sure it sells.
That's
you know what?
important.
We keep selling out though.
That's great.
We've sold out every time we put it in there. Like literally, we're sold out now. So we're in the process of doing our next order. Like we can't almost keep up with the demand. But the beauty of it is, I just think about all the students that it helps because no matter where the grits are, all of those proceeds go to HBCU students.
Tell us about, I love it, Grits That Give Back.
Yes. I went to a HBCU. I went to Langston University in Oklahoma. And listen, I struggled. And so for me, I promised God, hey, if you can figure this out, because I don't know how I'm going to do it. My mother says she's not helping with not $1 financial aid. There are no loans. She said no to everything. So I met somebody that was extremely dope who believed in my dreams and said, hey, can you pay this? And I worked, paid it off. And so for me, it was like, all right, God, you gave me the opportunity. So my promise is I'm going to give back. So even before there was a Nouveau and before there was real estate, I always did stuff in my church to give back to students that were going to college. And so that was one of the blessings.
It's also a smart business decision. You really stress the importance of giving back to the community that's your customer, giving back to the community that serves your business.
Absolutely. Yeah, we do so much community stuff. Outside of the turkey giveaways, we've pulled 3 families out of shelters.
That's amazing.
And housed them for a year.
That's great because the real estate, that goes well with everything else that you have going on.
You're still doing real estate.
I will always do real estate.
Man, listen.
Where do you know you're not getting out of the building?
Yeah. So another thing I wanted to ask you about was when you first opened up the first Nouveau, when was it time you decided to do a second location? How do you make those decisions? Like, okay, now's the next challenge. Let me challenge myself again.
Everybody thought I was crazy. Everybody. It was like, Eb, you don't have a life now. What are you doing? I literally prayed about it. The city manager came to my restaurant. Like 6 months passed. My mentor said, Ebony, I got a spot for you. And this spot, Candy was touring it. I said, oh, there's no competition. It's OLG.
Right.
Like, but Candy
Lady
decided.
gang.
Yes. Candy decided that she didn't want to do that location. She decided. And I called her. And she said, yeah, Ab, it's cool. We're not going to do that location. And so I did the location. And because we were doing amazing. Like, we had lines that were 2 hours to get in Nouveau. Sometimes 3 hours to get in there. So it was like, okay, you got to expand. You got to grow. Do you want your restaurant to eventually scale and be a nationwide brand? Or do you just want to stay in College Park? So for me, it was like, okay, if I can do number 2, eventually I'll be at number 5. So now we're 5 restaurants in.
What is next for you? What do you want to do next?
What do I want to do next?
Besides global domination.
Of course, I want to be in some more grocery stores with my grit line.
Right.
Within the next year, my goal is to have at least 5 more nouveaux.
Okay, wow.
5 more within the next year.
I see you have
Absolutely.
Dallas
coming up.
I'm so excited
Phoenix,
about Dallas.
maybe?
Phoenix.
Okay.
Yes, we just finished touring Phoenix. So we're definitely going to do Phoenix as well. But most importantly, real estate is my number one love. It's my first love. So now that
Pot,
we're
meat,
doing
kettle.
yeah, I just built my house. Ground up. And so now I just found some land that has like this amazing lake behind it. So we're going to build like a community in Georgia, in South Fulton. So that's part of it. And then I'm building a community in Dallas right now.
Amazing.
You're building communities.
Yes.
Not just your own house, communities. I always say that the real estate makes me feel secure.
Same.
When anything else is happening, to know that I have properties that I own. Some, I have 2 mortgages and then other properties that I own outright. And I know that, like, if God forbid something happens, I could sell this, I could do that, I could live in this one, rent out the upstairs. Like, there's so many things that you can do.
Retirement, like
Right.
I think is
And
real
that's
estate.
Money sitting there.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's money sitting there. I'm the same. I have 2. This is my second house, the one that I just built. I have a mortgage on it. And my very first house that I got for myself, I have a mortgage on it. But everything else is paid off.
Yeah.
Like
That's
I
a
just
good
bought
feeling
it flat out. Yeah.
When you know that you have that taken care of.
And you got that rental income coming in. That feels amazing.
Yes. Yes. All right. Well, and listen, my Midtown Detroit building, I have a 30-unit building in Midtown Detroit.
I heard.
We just passed inspections, and so now we're moving to the next of getting all of our certificates and everything.
How do it feel?
It feels like there's still a lot to do. No matter what, I'm not going to
It's been a
feel
journey.
good until it's like at least
You get
paying
your
for
CO?
itself. And until I get my C. And I think that's going to happen like in the next week or two. And
wow.
then,
Oh, yeah.
But there were a lot of things, and I think with real estate, people also have to know it's not always a sure shot, because there are definitely things that go wrong that you can't anticipate.
So hard to be a landlord.
Right.
Ooh,
Like
yes.
we
I'm
actually,
in landlord hell, was in landlord hell recently.
yeah,
It's
I had
terrible.
landlord hell too. And, people,
Same.
a lot of times it's hard when someone stops paying their rent, they
To
won't
get them
move,
out.
and then you have to go through that process.
Oh, I had the swatters.
Yeah.
And I didn't know that they had
Yeah.
their own law.
Yeah, they do, and they have rights.
They have rights.
Somebody held my house hostage. I rent out my late father's house, and they were not going to leave the house. They had the keys until we showed them cash. You had to do cash for keys. I didn't even know things like that could happen.
Me neither.
And the
My third
police were
property.
like,
Yeah.
start an
Yeah.
eviction process. I'm like, that. I ended up doing it.
And I feel like there's not a lot of sympathy for homeowners because,
Because we still got to pay the mortgage.
yeah, because they don't understand. We still have a mortgage to pay. Like the building in Detroit, we want to make sure there's affordable housing in there.
Yes.
But the balance of making sure we need to also pay the mortgage and property taxes and all of the bills. It's not just like, here, y'all live here for free.
Exactly.
You
It's definitely a process.
You really
but
saw that in COVID. There was so much renter protection. And I was like, what about
Oh,
the
God.
landlords?
yeah,
People stop paying
some
their
people
rent.
can lose, but my point is that I love real estate. I know you do too, Ebony.
love it.
But just understand that it doesn't always work. And I know people who listen, they're like, I'm just gonna buy a house. Just make sure that you're aware that you have to have some money for when things go wrong. There was a covenant on this property in Detroit, a 99-year covenant that had it at a deeply discounted rent. And so we were able to exit the covenant, but it literally took like months and months and months of getting, because we wouldn't have been able to keep the property without getting out of the covenant. And so it's just things like that can
That's
make it
amazing, though, because Detroit is coming up. Detroit is getting ready to do some amazing things.
Right.
Amazing.
Yes.
Great place.
Well,
Congratulations. I want to
thank
come
you.
see it.
Oh, please.
Detroit,
When you're
yes.
in Detroit, you should open a nouveau in Detroit.
My friend is trying to convince
You
me.
can
of one.
buy the space, own it, because that's important too when you think about real estate and the restaurant business,
It
being
is.
able to buy. Do you own the
So
location?
the one in College Park, my first one, I'm actually going to close on it the top of next year.
Hey.
So we've already got paperwork signed up. My landlord was amazing. So going into it, that was our agreement at year 5 that I would buy
That's
it.
great.
So we're right there. That
That's
would be the
amazing.
first one that I own, because I'm like, you need to own it. You can't sell the seats. You can't sell the equipment.
Right.
It holds it's going to depreciate. But that building is
It's
really
going
where
to.
you leverage, appreciate. So land will never, depreciate. So
That's why I like Detroit. You could buy it, build your space out, and own it. And then
own it.
if you decide I'll rent it out, you'll always make money.
always. I'm coming to see this.
Okay, we're going to coordinate, because when I
Yes.
go, you got to come. And there's so much happening
I
there
can't wait.
with the food scene. I think it's a great place.
Absolutely. I'm coming. I love real estate.
And you know I'll be in Atlanta too, so I'm going to let you know because I want to make sure we go and support and I don't have to wait 2 hours.
Oh, I got you. They're going to walk you right in. I promise you.
Well, Wednesday, a little broadcast
I'm not
from
Keith
Atlanta.
Lee. I want to get in right away. No.
I got you. I'm with you.
How can people follow you?
So I'm at Ebony Akira on Instagram, and my restaurant is Nouveau Bar ATL.
Okay, and everybody knows, guess who's going to be featured in this week's Team Wealth Wednesdays newsletter? Ebony, just go to teamwealthwednesdays.com and right up at the top, just click sign up for a free newsletter. Get great information. Follow Wealth Wednesdays on Instagram, and you get all that too. But we're so proud of you.
Thank
Yes,
you.
So happy
congrats
you
on
came
everything.
by.
And thank you. This
Thank
is
you
amazing.
for having me. I'm so excited.
Happy Wealth Wednesdays.
Way up.